You're listening to The Sizzle on Iron Skillet Radio and Iron Skillet Television.
All right, Jay. So the top 10 teams in the Eastern Conference, the Heat at 52-28, the Celtics after decimating the Bulls is at 50-30, the Bucks 49-30, and the 76ers at 49-30. The Raptors are 46-33, the Bulls are 45-35, the Cavaliers are 43-37, Nets 42-38, along with the Hawks. And at number 10 is the Hornets, who are 40-39. The Bulls are the only team outside right now of the Cavaliers that have a losing streak in their last 10 games. The Bulls are 4-6. The Cavaliers are 3-7. But in the last three, the Bulls have lost 3 straight games. So you're looking at a team right now, if my math is correct, you got 1-8 that plays itself, 2-7, and then 3-6, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So 3-6. Welcome to the Bucks. Welcome to either the Bucks. Now, okay, maybe the Celtics they need 2 games. I don't know how that's going to win. I mean, how they're going to go with wins, but you got either the Bucks or the 76ers, because the Raptors aren't going to be able to jump up 4 games and overtake.
They could beat the 76ers. They could beat the 76ers. They're dysfunctional. That whole thing's dysfunctional over there. That's dysfunctional over there. I mean, they haven't showed it to me yet.
Can they beat the 76ers team without Lonzo Ball, who after reports has said he will not play again this season? They said during the regular season, but I'm almost assured that it's going to be through the playoffs. A gimpy Zach LaVine right now at the point, and you've got a rookie point guard and your backup point, who they prefer to play him at the power forward for some reason, is Caruso, who is hurt too. With all those things facing the Bulls, and you have a slow Vooch. And I just want to say it. And Jay, maybe I'm wrong. You tell me. I know after COVID, it takes a while to recover, just like it did last year for Jason Tatum. It took him a whole year really to get back stable. Vooch had a bad case of COVID. I mean, it wasn't a ha-ha, he didn't just miss the 10 days of protocol. He was out for a while, and he looked slower. He doesn't look as crisp. And I don't know, it looks like it's a digression, but you're looking at guys who've been in the league, 13 years or so?
Yeah, all the time.
It doesn't look like Vooch is not a top center in the league.
Well,
the
problem is he's not hitting the ball. He's not hitting the jump shots when he needs to hit them when the Bulls need him. However, the Bulls have been getting outplayed. Lonzo Ball was the key for the Bulls. Absolute key. He solidified their defense, because the Bulls were playing very good defense when he and
Caruso.
When he and Caruso were out there, they were playing very good defense. And with Zach LaVine out there, they were playing very good. Now, you just lost a really big part of your defensive stopper. And then where the Bulls were dangerous at the beginning of the year was Lonzo Ball getting out, leading the break with Zach LaVine and with DeMar Rosen. I mean, kicking out and running. The Bulls were dangerous because they were not a big club. They didn't really have a big man. If you remember that, Vooch was it. Vooch was it. And they had to go out here, and the Bulls were running, right? Because Lonzo Ball is that guy. He is that. You want him leading your break because he's going to give the ball up. They don't have that right now. You know, you got Ayo playing too big of a role right now. Kobe White was never going to be that guard that was going to be able to lead you. He's a spark plug that comes off the bench, and hopefully he outscores who he's playing against, because he ain't going to defend nobody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He ain't going to D up nobody. So you talk about the Bulls lost three of their core people, and surprisingly, they still stayed in the hunt. Now, can they beat the 76ers? I think they can if we get a discombobulated James Harden.
Mm.
If the beard ain't trimmed right, if it's leaning over, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
If they mess up the line, your beard. If your beard ain't, it take a few weeks to get your beard back straight. If they mess your line up, you be like, oh man.
Yeah. Just cut it off and start
right. Again. And then they start trimming down here, and after a while, you look like a member of the Amish Mafia. You put on one of them hats and a black coat. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You turn in your car for a horse-drawn carriage in a buggy. You know what I'm saying? Gangster and potato mash. Mm-hmm. But if you are in a situation where James Harden is having one of them games, plural, and he ain't feeling it, but he's jacking up 25 shots a game, and he's throwing the ball out of bounds, and because nobody implodes better than James Harden. Nobody implodes better than James Harden. When it ain't going for James Harden, it is not going. You think Westbrook is bad? Oh my God, James Harden, he starts kicking the ball out of bounds with his feet. Then he has that look on it. Then he's running into the cheerleaders, and then he's out there. He be dribbling, going his way without the ball. It's just missing. I mean, he's shooting shots, building condominiums up behind the backboard because he's just launching bricks up there.
But how do you stop Embiid? That's the bugaboo for them.
Here's the thing about it. I don't think one player in the NBA, if his supporting cast is not helping him, one player is not going to be able to beat you. He might get 40. He might get 40, right?
He might get 50 or 60.
But what is the rest of his cast getting you? That's the whole thing. Because the 76ers have been real up and down like that. Mm-hmm. Embiid is probably going to win the scoring title this year, but why? Okay, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If somebody said, Joel Embiid is going to win the scoring title this year at the beginning of the season, what would you have said?
Lies and
lies and flaring and filth. Sir, why would you blaspheme like that? There's no way Joel Embiid is going. But why does Joel Embiid have the green light? Because he doesn't have a balanced team around him. That's why they gave away half their team to try to get Harden in there to give him some help scoring. Mm-hmm. Right? So this is the whole. Okay, let's break this down. If AD was scoring 40 points a game, Lakers would be unstoppable.
Right? You're right.
If Vucevic was scoring 40 points a game, the Bulls would be unstoppable. With DeRozan, unstoppable. Right? Go down the line. Any of those top tier teams right now, if their big man was giving you points like Embiid, they'd be unstoppable. But the 76ers were so bad, with Embiid leading the way, going for a scoring time, they had to give away 3 of their best players to go get James Harden. What does that tell you? That they had no help around him. That Joel Embiid has the green light. Why is Joel Embiid trying to close games? From the 3-point line? Because nobody else wants to. And we know James Harden ain't a closer. Mm-hmm. When's the last time James Harden closed a game for you? He can't even stay on the team. He was up there. James Harden was with KD and Irving and couldn't stay up there. Mm-hmm. How can you count? Is it that you can't get it done with presumably 2 of the best players all time at their position? Kyrie Irving, top 5, top 10 guard all time, right? Mm-hmm. KD, the Slim Reaper. Who better than the Slim Reaper?
Well, they were saying, wasn't a lot of sharing in it. Kyrie Irving was
But
taking the ball too much and he had it in his hand.
But okay, and this is what I'm saying to you. So you had a guy, James Harden, you just couldn't see him pouting behind his beard, right? Only reason why you get out of there, on that team is because you feel like you should be the scoring leader.
Right.
You feel like you're not going to make your bonus, right? So now you want to go somewhere where you can be the man. All of a sudden he goes over here and Joel Embiid is the man. Joel Embiid is still shooting the basketball whenever he gets ready to. And so what does the beard do? He has hissy fits and just starts chucking stuff over his shoulders. And then he starts trying to do the same rip move that they banned basically in the NBA this year, part of last year. He's still doing the same rip move, trying to get to the line. And they're like, no, you ain't gonna do that. No foul. Same move. And why was James Harden scoring all these points? Because he was getting to the line. Now he ain't getting to the line like he used to.
We just talked about that in the last segment about guys not changing their game. You haven't seen AD change his game. You haven't seen James Harden change his game. And to a large degree, you didn't see Vucevic change his game. And you really haven't seen Zach LaVine change his game. So I'm going to ask a taboo question, Jay. And maybe not taboo for you because we've talked about this before, but taboo for the listeners. Is Zach LaVine worth a max contract extension?
Got to pay him. You got to pay Zach LaVine. If he's healthy, you got to pay him. I mean, we're looking at a guy who's got the tweaked knee. Now, the problem with Zach LaVine, why are you out there doing reverse 360 slam dunks and your knee wasn't together?
Okay. I'm looking at that. And I let's just look at from the perspective when he didn't have DeRozan and you had just a Zach LaVine team. They were a 25-win team at best. With DeRozan, your win share has gone up by about 10 games. DeRozan and Vooch can win you games. They've done it without Zach this year. Zach still has not been able to find, and maybe it is injury that's causing all this. He hasn't been able to find that gear that can move you on. So my question would be, if you can find some better pieces in a trade for Zach LaVine, do you trade Zach LaVine?
No, you don't trade him. And here's my other answer to another part of your question. DeMar DeRozan. Who else didn't want DeMar DeRozan?
A lot of people.
LA Lakers.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't want DeMar. The Chicago Bulls were 3, 4th, and 5th choice for DeMar DeRozan. Right? He just ended up here. So I think you got a guy who was playing to prove a point, a motivated DeMar DeRozan, showing you, this is what y'all didn't get right here. Let me show it to you. Break this down. Let me pull this package out. I was just worked on this last week. Look at my midi game. I'm just gonna put this on you. You got a motivated guy, right? Who's giving you buckets right now. Oh, he's the greatest thing since Swiss cheese, right? But there was a lot of teams who didn't want an aging DeMar DeRozan. Why? Because he might not be this next year. Your core guy is Lonzo Ball and Zach LaVine coming back. When Zach LaVine is healthy, dangerous. He just needs somebody to run with him. And that was the vision of Lonzo Ball, was that those guys getting out on the fast break, those guys who are willing defenders, those guys who really at their size are a matchup nightmare for other teams because of their quickness, because of their strength. When this team is put together and ready to go, they're going to be good and they're going to be ready to go. However, they just been injured. And you got a Zach LaVine who's been injured. You got now a Lonzo Ball who I believe just shut it down. I believe Lonzo Ball just shut it down. Man, I ain't coming back out there. Let me get this thing healed up because, I'm not on a max deal. You know what I'm saying? I'm not on a max deal. I got to come back and play again next year. I'm shutting this thing down. So, to your point, I think, no, you can't get rid of because who are you going to get for him?
I don't know. That's a good question.
An agent superstar? You want an agent guy who, no. You're not going to get one of these young guns for him. You're not, and I'm throwing out a little stupid name, but you're not going to get a Trae Young or somebody like that. You're not going to get a guy who, that guy makes a big deal. You're not getting that guy for him. You're going to get an aging guy. you're going to get a Russell Westbrook-ish type of dude. You know what I'm saying? You know, because any of the top flight guys you can get that he's on comparison with aren't going to be as good as him.
Yeah,
that's the question. If you get rid of him, who you getting? See,
I mean, I'm looking at guys like Sadiq Bey. You're looking at those kind of guys now that are young guys who can do something. Maybe not the uber talent of Zach LaVine, but somebody you can bring in. But that's a great point. You can't get those guys.
Right, but why would I give up that guy for Zach LaVine?
Yeah.
I mean,
I got you.
Zach LaVine is getting ready to start down the roller coaster. You know, you ever know the one we get chugga, you know, you go and also you get chugga, and you get up here and you start, you know, you're right at the top, and now you're starting to go over. You know, I think you start to see Zach LaVine, especially if he can't shake these injuries. You know,
so that's the biggest question. If he can't shake these injuries, we're already up that climb, that mountain. Is this the guy you want to attach a max contract to?
Well,
and then be stuck with him later on.
Who else? I mean, the issue is with any of these guys, you're taking a chance on anybody out here. The way the NBA is played now. Here's the problem. Here's the whole problem right now. Okay. You got teams out here scoring 120 points a game, and nobody even blinks an eye anymore.
All right.
130, 140 point game, and nobody blinks an eye. So you got guys on maximum offensive output.
Right.
Maximum. They're rolling. None of these guys are taking a rest on offense. They're all going full bore on offense. And now that's why you're seeing guys starting to blow their knees out. Their ankles are starting to blow out. Why? Because you got guys attacking the basket all night long. Right. Why? Because the only way you're going to win in the NBA, 76 points is not going to win a game in the NBA anymore.
No, not at all. Ask the Bulls. Doesn't work.
80 points is not going to, the day of a great defensive team winning the big one. Not the closest thing you got that is Milwaukee. That's the closest thing you got right now to a very good defensive team is Milwaukee. They probably have one of the best players all time playing on that team right now, and he's young.
And thank God he re-signed with Milwaukee, because if he had left,
I mean, you got to think about purgatory. Well, you got to think about this too. He's a young guy who came from meager, humble beginnings, right? Who looks like a guy who's not really into all this fast life. He could hang out in Milwaukee. He's got his brother with him. He's got his family up there with him. You know, but they're from Greece. You know, and they're just like, hey, dude, we're great right here. I'm going to keep getting paid. I'm going to sell some Gatorade. I got shoes. You know what I'm saying? My family with me. I mean, you got 3 brothers in the NBA.
Right.
Everybody making NBA money. That's and you at all time. You're going to probably go down as an all-time great. Hey, man, life is good. Why would I leave? Why would I uproot myself out of that? I don't care what happens with Milwaukee. I'm signing max deals. You know, I don't care what happens with Milwaukee. I'm going to get contracts. I'm going to make advertising money. You know, if I go somewhere else, this team is built around me. It's going to continue to be built around me. If I go somewhere else, now I got to fit in somewhere else, and I don't think his game actually translates somewhere else, because you have to be defensive minded. Plus, he needs the basketball. You know, and he's not a great enough shooter that he's going to make anybody fear him from outside. So he's a guy who's going to have to dominate people on the inside. And after a while, is his game going to translate?
Correct.
You know, because he takes a beating. He gives a beating, but he takes a beating. And he's a super freak. He's a super freak in the weight room. He's just one of those guys. So why not stay there, you know? But the issue is, back with the Bulls, their situation right now is that you have guys right now who have to score the basketball. And so, you know, 120 points now, a game is average now. it's an average game. This game, I hate to say it, I hate the way NBA basketball is played right now. I really do. I mean, it's just complete offense, and nobody is really defending because they don't want a lot of defenders to defend.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So many rules against the defender. Yeah.
Let them put their hands back on them again. Let's slow this down. Let's go. Let's go. Just take your elbow out the people's backs, right? And let's put your hand back on them like you used to do back in the 90s, in the 80s. Let's go back to that. I mean, I can understand the hard fouls and all that type of stuff. Keep that stuff out the game. But give the defense a chance to keep these guys out the lane. Let's get these games back down to under 100 points where they need to be. You know, you got the 3-point game implemented in there. Now guys can get out on the 3-point line and don't have to worry about just getting broke down because they can't put a hand on a guy without getting a foul call. Steph Curry would not be as free as he is shooting his basketball if somebody could put a hand on him. You know, if he turned his back on you, you can push him and hold him there. Now let's see you get free to shoot this jumper on a regular. Let's even the playing field. You know, the playing field's not even right now, and they've ruined the game. But to me, they've really ruined the game of basketball. You know, the game of basketball was really in its heyday in the 80s, in the 90s, you know, where teams were winning 91 to 86 on a regular basis. Very seldom. Do you remember the days when teams were giving out free Big Macs as a promotion if teams scored 100 points? Remember that? Hey, this McDonald's franchise will give you a free Big Mac if you hold a ticket to the game. If they score over 100, the team people at the end of the game were all standing up clapping because it was 97. They're waiting for somebody to hit 2 free throws or waiting for somebody can you hit a 3. Remember that?
Yeah.
Right now, McDonald's will go broke.
Most definitely. If you kept a Bulls ticket in your hand and you could use that for about a year, it was good. You go and get you a Big Mac for free. Because the Bulls had put up 100 points. You were like, woohoo! Right. That's amazing.
But it was so rare that it happened on a regular basis. I mean, they got there, but it was 105 maybe. That was a big game, over 100. Now if you ain't scoring 100, you ain't going to win.
If you're not scoring 110, you're not going to win.
Right. The game of basketball has been ruined, I think, because of that. Because they just went too offensive. You know, and I don't blame Steph Curry and people like that. He revolutionized that part of the game. You know, that I don't care if you could put a hand on him, you might not be able to drive, but he's still going to be able to shoot the 3 ball. But as for going out and defending him, I don't think he would be shooting him at the clip that he was shooting at, because you got guys who could actually put a hand on him and keep him in front of him a little bit. And he would get some of those 3-pointers blocked, because you have guys being able to get up off the floor because they can stay in contact. But right now you can't touch them. You know, I really don't like this. I really don't like, maybe I'm an old fogey, which I think I'm old fogey, but I don't like this brand of basketball. It really is sometimes unwatchable. I don't want to see 130 to 120 games. I don't want to see that.
Well, I will say this is as we go forward and Grandpa Jay goes on and bemoans about the old days of when, you know, you can win a game 50 to 42.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy now.
Yeah, well, it's not going to happen. Adam Silver has said it's not going to happen. He's going to get people back into the stands and people rested. But one last question before we go, Jay, is this whole thing. Let's go back to the linchpin very quickly. If you can't get Lonzo Ball back, and this is a Lonzo Ball, as you said, that's not on a max contract. This is a Lonzo Ball that's never played a full season of his basketball career. Is Lonzo Ball one of those ones like we talked about with AD, where he's not taking this seriously enough in the offseason to keep him away from injury? Or is Lonzo Ball going to have to change some things to be able to survive and have a long-term career in the NBA? Because if he fails, this whole Bulls experiment fails.
Well, he's a couple of trick pony. I mean, he's not a one-trick pony, but he only got 2 tricks. All right. One of his tricks that he has, that he's an outstanding passer of the basketball. Just outstanding passer of the basketball. The second trick that he's got is that he's 6'6". and he can move like he can move. He can defend like he can defend, and he can lead the break like he can lead the break. His most glaring thing that's wrong with him is that he doesn't have a mid-range game, and even though he's a better three-point shooter, he's still not a three-point shooter enough that he scares you for any length of period of time. So unless he gets into the gym and his midi game, where he can step inside and hit that 17-footer and just torch you, unless he can get some DeMar DeRozan in his game, and that's what he really needs. He needs that DeMar DeRozan type of game going on, where he can get inside, punish those smaller guards, where they can ISO him one-on-one. He can back him down and just kiss it off the glass on a regular basis. Until he can do that, then you're going to have a guy who is just really two-dimensional in a three-dimensional type of game, but he's a piece. I think he's a piece. I like Zoe, but you got to put talent around him. He's not the guy who's going to take you over. He's going to take you over the top, but he's a guy definitely that can keep you at the top if he's healthy. But a lot of these, these players now, a lot of it's if they're healthy, and like I said, this brand of basketball that we're playing now is you have to score 120 points. You're putting pressure on these guys to jump hard, cut harder, dunk, attacking the basket. These guys are going to get hurt. I mean, you only can jump so many times before something goes wrong, before you step on somebody's foot, and before you get a guy, guys start playing a little dirty and start taking guys out the air at some point in time. I think you're going to see a lot of that in the playoffs. All this 120-point games, that ain't going to be happening in the playoffs. It goes defense gonna rule the day then, and then you're gonna start getting guys get banged around. But I just going back to the Bulls. I think this is the girl you quit your other girl, and you picked up this one, and you bringing her to the dance now just because you found out her hair wasn't hers, and and one of her false eyelashes is kind of falling down a little bit. That's your boo. Hold her hand and go out there and do the butt. You know what I'm saying? Hey, she's a little sweaty under the armpits, but hey, she's still cute.
That's it. We're bringing this show to a close because you know what? It's getting late and Jay Sizzle is getting delirious. So you know who's in the building. He's Jay Sizzle. I'm G Sizzle. We are the Sizzle. We're the hottest sports talk. We're the hottest talk anywhere, but especially in the 219. You know what it is. You know what we've come to do. And that is always bring you the hotness. And you know you, my friend, on the other side.
Make sure that you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Iron Skillet Sports. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to Iron Skillet Sports on YouTube at Iron Skillet Sports.